What's up, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest will be fighting on the May pay-per-view. That is UFC 262. It is scheduled for May 15th. I'm talking to Andrea Lee, who fights Antonina Shevchenko on that card. So let's bring Andrea in here. Andrea's a busy girl this time of the year here. She's in training camp preparing for this fight. Busy schedule. Andrea, we appreciate the time that you're making for this interview. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's no problem.
All right, Andrea, let's talk about what we were just talking there. A busy girl this time of the year with training camp going on. Just how is training camp going as you prepare for this fight?
Well, camp's going very smoothly, and I'm happy that I got the notice having, so many weeks out. So I've been able to have a little bit longer to prepare, which is great. I just got back from California. I was out there training with MMA Gold, Aspen Ladd, Jim West, and their team, and got a lot of great work out there. And
Andrea, I believe you froze there as you were giving the second half of your answer. You were talking about traveling. If you just want to finish that for everybody out there and tell everybody where you were traveling at.
Dang it, I said I'm leaving in a few days, and I'm going to Colorado to train at Elevation with Coach Justin Houghton.
All right, so now tell us a little bit about all this traveling that you've been doing. Is this something that you're used to doing then? Like, do you like to go out to different gyms and kind of learn what other people are doing and kind of just keep evolving your game from all the different eyes that are on you?
I definitely enjoy the fact that it helps me to evolve and it makes me better as a fighter, and I get to train with all these other great high-level athletes. But I would prefer to not have to travel as much. I do like being home and in my comfort zone with my daughter and just in my house, in my bed. But, in order for me to get all the great work that I need, right now it causes me to have to travel. And it's nice, though. I mean, places like California, and Colorado's beautiful places. So it's like I get to experience new territory and new terrain. It's great. I learn a lot.
Hey, traveling's never a bad thing, that's for sure. And Andrew, let's move in now, I guess, to the actual fight itself here. Just talk to us a little bit about Antonina and about her as an opponent and what it's going to take to get a win against her.
Well, we all know that Antonina is a really good striker. Her Muay Thai is very good. She's very strong in the clinch. And, I've noticed, her teeps and her kicks are really good as well. I've seen in fights where her ground game was definitely needed some room to grow, and I feel like she has grown. I saw that in her last fight. She's definitely been evolving and putting a lot of time into the grappling aspect of MMA. And I think for me to go out there and get this fight, I just have to be the aggressor, and I have to show that my striking is at the same level. And not only that, but I can also wrestle and I can also grapple. And I feel like, my grappling aspect part of the game is a lot better than hers is. So I'm hoping that I can go out there and, display that. But, I want to get out there and strike with her too. I think that this is going to be a really fun fight for me and for the fans.
I would say we're all looking forward to seeing that fight. And what's interesting too is the position that you guys are in. You guys are ranked right next to each other in the rankings. I think 11 and 12, if I had that right off the top of my head. Do you think that the winner of this fight will advance to get a top tier type of an opponent? Because both of you guys have fought now for a while in this division. I think you guys are right in that same similar boat where the winner deserves a bigger fight.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we both had those fights already. We both fought in the top 10, and we've had quite a few chances. And I think that with this, I'm sure that we'll move. Maybe we won't move up much, but I'm sure that we'll get another fight opportunity, within the top 10. But I'm just looking to fight and have fun, and I want to get back to that. I feel like for me personally, you get so caught up on just trying to chase the title and kind of lose sight of, why you started in the first place. And I enjoy fighting, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want it to feel like it's necessarily a job, and it is my job, but like, I want to have fun and just get out there and fight and get better and no matter who it is that is in front of me, no matter what ranking they are. I think that I can learn from anybody that is put in front of me.
It's funny that you say that. I was just talking to Rob Font yesterday, and he said this pretty similar answer there. He was saying how when he was losing, it was because he was too worried about, like, oh, I got to win this fight, because if I win this fight, that means I can fight this person, and worrying about everything from the outside instead of just going in there and having fun.
Yeah. No, and you know what? I did not see that interview, but that's what has been on my mind, and I agree with that completely. It's like, man, you get out there and it's like exactly like he said. It's like you've got the pressure put on you. Oh, I gotta win this fight so I can get the next fight will be like in the top 5, and then the next thing I know, it's like everybody's talking about me fighting Shevchenko if I beat Joanne Calderwood, and I'm like, oh man, it's like the pressure is on, and you kind of start losing the fun of it all. That's what I kind of want to get back to, and I'm excited about this matchup because I think it is going to be a fun fight regardless of the outcome, but I want to go out there and I want to get a finish so bad, and I just think that it's going to be fun for the fans to watch, and I want to be able to show that for everyone. And my last fight wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be, and I think that this one is going to be a fun one.
So I know you said you want to go out there and get a finish. Does that have anything to do with your last few fights? Because what's crazy to think about, in your last few fights, you had 2 split decisions, Lauren Murphy, Joanne Calderwood, who are now fighting in June in what's been pretty much announced a title elimination fight. Of course, the fight with Roxanne Modafferi was extremely close, 2 rounds to 1. Like, do you ever look at those and say, like, oh man, if I would have just gotten 1 or 2 of those decisions to go to my way, or a close round here or a close round there, you're talking about completely different outcomes here as to where you're at in the division, right?
No, you're right there. I do wish, like, if at least one of them could have gone my way, it would have been. I wouldn't feel quite as bad. I mean, like I said, nobody likes to lose, but 3 in a row doesn't sound good. If it's like 1, you win 1, you lose 1, or you lose and then you win and then you lose. I mean, that doesn't seem so bad. But it's like when you back to back to back, that doesn't look too good. So I'm looking to get out there and just kind of make a statement and get a finish and get my hand raised.
And how much of that do you think is like the fans trying to put their 2 cents into things sometimes, where like you said, 3 losses looks bad? Because I've seen fans do that a lot. Where they're like, oh, what are you talking about? She has 3 losses. She can't be that good. But it's like, no, look at it. Like they're close. They're split decision. They could go either way in a division that everybody's right there, right at the top.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, fans don't see every single fight. I mean, there are a lot of fights that are put on every weekend, and there's so many fighters on the cards, on the lineups, so you don't get to see every single fight, but you do get to see the record, and that's what people talk about, so I mean, if you see the fights, you're singing a different tune, but if you didn't, then it's like, oh, they're not as good, they're not living up to the hype, their hype train derailed, and they're not as good as everybody's saying that they are, or they were, and I see those types of comments and stuff. So yeah, it kind of makes me want to go out there and prove something. I know that I'm a high level athlete. I know I'm a good fighter, but I think I also have to go out there and prove it to myself.
You absolutely are a great fighter, and you've won plenty of championships in other promotions. So now I have to ask, here you are at the UFC. You're experienced now. You have 6 fights underneath your belt in this promotion. So do you feel that like the best is yet to come, that you're kind of just starting to get into your groove into the UFC, and that you're ready to go on a run here?
I think so, and like when I first came into the UFC, I wasn't really even paying attention to like where I'm at in the rankings. People would tell me and I'd be like, oh really? I had no idea. They're like, oh, you're moving up. You're 12. You're 11. Oh, you're in the top 10. I'm like, that's great. And I didn't want to think about that because I was having fun and I just wanted to continue having fun. But then when it started being about the rankings and, who like fighting for the title, just all of that, that's kind of like took away. And so, I mean, that's kind of something that I definitely want to get back to. And, I think that I am. So yeah, I want to get out there and I'll prove that. I want to prove that to myself, to my fans, and that I don't care where this puts me in the rankings. I just want to get my hand raised.
And now, as we talk about pressure inside of the cage and worrying about all of that, here's something that I never even thought of until I saw some of the things that you had on social media about looking for sponsors and things like that. There's a whole business side to the sport that's completely outside the fight game. Like, I imagine the way I thought of it is the way probably a lot of fans thought about it, where you guys just, you go to the gym, you work out, you get in training camp, you cut weight, you show up on fight night, rinse and repeat. But no, there's a whole outside business. So can you talk about like the pressures of, you know, doing things like that, like getting sponsorships and all that type of stuff that's going on the outside while you're still in training camp?
Man, it is difficult. And that's what I hate being on my phone all the time. And that's why, you know, we hire managers and we try to hire sports agents, you know, to kind of like handle that type of stuff for you. But, you know, lately I've just decided to like take it into my own hands and just see what I can do. And I feel like I've definitely been getting a lot more feedback by doing it myself. And that means that I have to be on my phone a lot and I'm having to check emails and send invoices to people who are sponsoring me, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's definitely, that's why people definitely try to pay management companies. But I will say there's a lot of management companies out there that promise you to get you all of these sponsors and these endorsement deals, and, you know, and they want to take 20% of your fight purse and your bonuses, but then they don't ever deliver the sponsorships and the endorsement deals. They just take your fight purse and your bonus money. So that's why, you know, I'm trying to do it myself. I have a manager. He charges me only 5%. He doesn't promise that he's going to go out there and get me all of these sponsors and stuff, which I love that. You know, I mean, I think I have a great manager, but, you know, I'm having to also deal with the sponsorship side of everything on my own. But I feel like I'm bringing in more money than I guess maybe some of those other management companies would be bringing me in. You know.
Do you like being a salesperson like that?
I don't. I don't feel like I'm that great at selling myself. I prefer to have someone do it because it's like I don't necessarily have the sales pitch or know what to say. But honestly, I think people just like you to be yourself, you know, and just, you know, the only way that I can get back to my sponsors is through social media. You know, we're able to like post things about them. We're able to share posts. We can't really, I mean, we can wear their merchandise, but it can't be, you know, fight week, and it can't be fight night because you have to wear the UFC sponsor. So, I mean, that does take away a little bit. So you have to kind of sell it to make it, you know, more appealing for them, you know? And I feel like I'm working on it. I think I'm getting better at it.
Practice makes perfect, but I can tell you, I give you guys credit for doing that. I can never be a salesperson, mainly because of the fact if somebody were to tell me no, I'd be pissed. I really would. So, like, do you get that too? Like, where you kind of have to learn how to, you know, get your emotions underneath you when you're doing these different sales pitches? Because everybody says it about sales. You have to just, if somebody says no, you just gotta let it roll right off your back like nothing happened.
Yeah, and I think that's why I've never been one to go out and try to do it myself. But I think that I'm to the point where now it's like I really need to, because I mean, with COVID and everything, you know, it's like I haven't fought since September. So, I mean, I'm living off of that fight purse, you know what I mean? So it's like I need sponsors to get me through this fight camp because, you know, I got to get through to the next fight. So, for me, I'm having to learn this new aspect of everything, you know. I'm trying to get, you know, sponsorships, and it's helping. It's working out. It's not easy, though.
I bet that it's not. And Andrea, I want to end with, on a lighter note here, talking about the signature cowboy hat that you usually have on. I still remember that it was, I want to say 2019, I think was the year. Or was it 2017? One of the years you were at a fan meet and greet out in Las Vegas. It was the UFC fan experience. And me and my father go, you were in the first session, we were getting in line, getting ready for the second session, and you had the cowboy hat on. I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. And obviously, of course, whenever you fight, you always come out with the hat on. When you're getting your name announced at the end, the hat's always on. What's the story behind the cowboy hat? Was there like something that made you want to wear that out, or is it just you living that Southern lifestyle that you live? What's the story behind it?
Well, you know, I'm representing the Southern lifestyle, yes, that I live. I grew up living in Texas, and you know, we had animals, you know, cows and all types of different like weird animals. We also had like emus, we had chickens, you know, we had ducks and pigeons and doves, which I don't even understand why we had pigeons and doves, but for some reason we did. We had pheasants and a couple of other different things that at the moment I can't remember. Rabbits. But anyway, you know, when I started fighting, my husband wanted me to, my husband and my coach, he wanted me to represent the South in that way, you know, and he was thinking, you know, to, he was thinking that a cowboy hat, you know, because I'm from the South, you know, and I'm a cowgirl and, you know, I'm country, so why not wear that out whenever I fight? And I was thinking, I didn't know if I wanted to do that, you know, because I didn't think it mixed, you know, but it ended up being something that worked, you know, and everybody kind of would be like, oh, you remember the girl that fought last night? You know, the girl with the cowboy hat? And then it just kind of like, it stuck, you know, and it became my thing.
I love that story. So now we live in this like world now where we're supposed to be like PC, which I do a horrible job of, and I'll admit that. But I could go ahead and I think I'm going to guess this right. You probably like country music. Who are some of your favorite country musicians?
Oh man, George Strait, I like Garth Brooks, Kenny Chesney. I know there's like all the older country singers. I like Jason Aldean, and those are some of my favorites that I can think of off the top of my head. Jason Aldean, he really puts out like a lot of good country music lately for new age country music lovers.
Okay, well, where I grew up at, I'm here in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Not really. There's people that do like country music and everything, but like a lot of us, we're more like pop, top 40, classic rock type of things. But I do have one country musician that I do like, and it's kind of I guess a different story for how people get into country music. Growing up as a kid, back when cassettes were still a thing in the car, my dad, for whatever reason, I don't know why he had it, Hank Williams, the album 5-0, we used to listen to that on road trips to the beach and that all the time. So I like Hank Jr. Do you like him too? Are you a fan of his work?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I can't tell you some of the songs off the top of my head, you know, because it is a little bit older. Hank Williams, Hank Jr. But yes, I've heard some of his songs and his dad's, and I like their music.
Okay, now, do you like any other music, or are you strictly country? You do any rock and roll or anything?
No, I actually have a variety of music that I like that I can't even, some of it I don't even know like what the genre is considered, you know. But I like R&B, I like pop, hip hop, you know. I like some techno type stuff, you know, Skrillex. I guess it just depends the type of Skrillex. Not necessarily Skrillex, but you know, like that type of stuff where it's a lot of instrumental. It just depends on what mood I'm in, really. You know, sometimes I'll be working out to some really slow music, and Tony will come out and be like, "What are you listening to?" He's like, "This is not like the vibe I want." He's like, "We got to put something else on." You know, so it just really just depends. I mean, I like a little bit of everything.
I hear you. All right, Andrew, this has been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun, too. We talked about a lot of different things. I know you're a busy girl. You have a lot of different things you have to get to as you finish up training camp here. But before you roll out, if you want to plug your social media, management, sponsors, I know you're still looking for some sponsors. Anything like that you need a plug, please, floor is yours.
Well, I didn't... should have a list, but I don't have my list with me right now. But I would like to just thank everybody, you know, who has helped me, and all of my sponsors. And I'm sorry, I'll plug you in my next interview. Make sure that I have the lineup. I don't want to stutter through everything and sound silly and, you know, have that thinking cap on. And so anyways, I just thank everybody. Thank to my coaches, everybody out at MMA Gold here in Louisiana, SMAA, Tony Kelly, Jim West, and then of course I'm going to Colorado. Thank you for having me out there. And everybody who's helping me get through this fight camp, I really do appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. So, awesome. I've enjoyed it.
Andrea, no problem at all. Thank you so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed the conversation that we just had here today. Again, best of luck to you in training camp. And to remind everybody, UFC 262 goes down on May 15th. Andrea will be fighting Antonina Shevchenko. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. You'll see more great interviews just like the one that you just watched. And I always appreciate all the subscribers out there. And also, just as a reminder to everybody, keep going to MMA News. We have great content that comes out there 7 days a week. Also, go to our social media accounts, give us a like and a follow on there as well. We'll see you later, everybody.